What's up, everyone? It's your boy, Richard Graves of the Richard Graves Group. This is going to be a quick one. I'm sure all of you have heard what happened a few moments ago. Donald Trump, former president of the United States, at one of his rallies in Philadelphia, there was an assassination attempt. I know people want to call it a shooting, but anytime you shoot at a former president or sitting president of the United States, especially while they're campaigning, and you try to kill them, that is called an assassination attempt. So real quick, I want to touch base on a few things. One, let's just talk about, first of all, prayers to the family of the individual that was killed and the other individual who is now at the hospital in critical condition. We're going to pray for those people who are attending the rally. Also, prayers for the former president. I don't care what your politics is. We're Americans. All of us are, right or left. And at the end of the day, we should not want to see any of this. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is people. We have right of freedom of speech. We have a right to believe what we wish to believe politically. You can be on the left or the right or in the middle, whatever you choose. And we can argue about it, but we settle things at the polls. We go out and vote. We don't shoot each other or shoot at former presidents of the United States of America. That should be obvious, but let's talk about this. I'm going to talk about the American political left, and I don't know nothing about the shooter. I don't know who the shooter was. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm hoping it is not a black person. I always hope that when anything like this happens. But at the end of the day, whoever the shooter was, it can be reasonably assumed that the person was not a Make America Great Again follower. It can be reasonably assumed that it wasn't a Republican. It can be reasonably assumed that it wasn't a conservative. So we can reasonably assume all those three things. Now, when it comes out, if it should come out that this person was someone of some type of liberal ideology, a progressive ideology, it's a bad look for the left. And let me tell you why. The left has refused to accept the fact of the extremism that they have pushed on their side. Now, I am, as you all know, a conservative. And I will say this. As a conservative, I'm very aware of the fact that there is an extremist movement in the right wing of American political politics. I see it. We know it. We all know it. All right. Do I believe it's most of the people on the right? No, I do not. But I believe it's a very loud and vocal minority. On the left, you have extremists on the left. Do I believe that the extremists on the left represent the average person who considers themselves a liberal? No, I do not. I choose to believe that whether you're a liberal or conservative or none of the above, that at base, regardless of what our politics is, we all should want what is best for our country. That's what it comes down to. We may disagree on how to get there. We may disagree on the methodology that we use to create political policy and what our aims should be. But ultimately, all of our motivations should be for a better America, for ourselves, our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children. That's what we should be hoping for. And if you're not hoping for that, then honestly, this, as they say, this ain't the country for you. All right. If you don't want what's best for us as Americans, what's best for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, then I would ask you to leave the country. I don't care if you call yourself a conservative, a liberal, a Democrat, a Republican, whatever. That being said, to the point of this, we had all this stuff about the insurrection on January 6th, and I will be the first. I part ways with some of the people in my party when it comes down to when I'm simply saying that was unacceptable. I do believe it was almost an insurrection. But I also believe that about the stuff that happened in Minnesota after the George Floyd shooting. I believe all that should not have been accepted, should not have been tolerated. And it is, to me, there is a difference between protesting and having a point and that type of destruction, regardless of who you are, what party you are, what politics you hold. But what this does show, there's a capacity for violence. The left needs to get off of this moral high horse that there is not a capacity for violence on the extremism on the left. There is. And I'll bet money, all right? I'll bet money this person was some type of extremist on the American left, all right? And I'll bet money it was, all right? And honestly, I'll be honest with you. When I first heard about it, I was on my way back, from up north. I was listening to the radio. I thought for sure that it was, okay, maybe this is a setup or maybe it's a joke. But when I saw the pictures, I'm going to tell you something. As a Marine, and all of us Marines can shoot very well, I'm going to tell you this. Unless it was John Wick, ain't nobody hitting nobody in the ear if they're trying to actually kill them or trying to make it look like they killed them. That's not happening. Nobody's that good. All right. So I'm choosing to believe, at this point. All the evidence isn't out there. This is a quick video that I'm just doing just to talk with you guys real quick. But I'm choosing to believe that, in fact, this was an assassination attempt, and that assassination attempt was from a person who I bet you, when all is said and done, identifies with the American political left and probably is an extremist of some sort. All right. And bottom line, it should not be tolerated either way it goes. Extremists on the right do things, extremists on the left do things. That's why extremism is so dangerous. We should look to be able to disagree and come together to try to come to a consensus regarding policies about how our country should move forward. We gotta stop looking at each other as this group ain't American, that group ain't American. We're the real Americans, you're the real Americans. You guys are stupid voting against your best interests. You guys are stupid voting against your best interests. All that stuff has to stop. We have to have real conversations about what the direction, the priorities of this country and which way we want it to go. So we'll see what happens election time with that. Hopefully this does not happen anymore. Again, prayers for the people, for the individual who lost their life. All right. Prayers for the individual still in the hospital fighting for their life. And of course, prayers for the former president of the United States of America. You ain't got to like Donald Trump. All right. He's not one of my favorite people. You guys have heard me say that. Even though I am a conservative, I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. Now I will say further to the point, I'm not supporting the left either right about now. And that was before this happened. I have enough policy issues with the left that I've talked about. So when the election comes, I don't know which way it's going to go. But politically speaking, people can say what they want to, but this pretty much guarantees the election for President Trump. It pretty much guarantees it. This is going to be a rally cry for people on the right. And a lot of those moderates who were sitting on the fence who weren't going to support Trump, they probably will now. And in fact, I bet you there's some moderates within the left that are going to support Trump. There's a reason Donald Trump is polling at 20% with African-American voters. And the reason is not because these people are stupid. The reason is not because these people have some hatred for women or LGBTQ or anything like that. The reason is that, people are starting to see the BS on the left. The African-American community is seeing it in communities like Chicago, Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia, where migrants being brought over to the United States, tens of thousands of them, if not hundreds of thousands of them, being brought into the United States, allowed into the United States, and getting resources immediately in these major metropolitan areas, while you have African-American community that's suffering in those areas. I think they finally have seen the fact that the Democrats use them as a voting base and don't give them anything for that. And I hope more African-Americans see that. And I'm not trying to say I want to see African-Americans go out and vote for Trump. Well, actually, I do, because I have a bet with a friend of mine for a steak dinner that Trump gets at least around 10 to 15% of the African-American vote this time. So I would like to see brothers and sisters go out and vote for him so I can win that bet. But seriously speaking, at the end of the day, there's a reason why he's polling at that. And I'm going to tell the American political left, you guys need to do some self-examination. If you're wondering why, people are not running behind and supporting Biden right now. And I hope you guys do, because I'm not on the left, but I do believe that occasionally the left has a good idea, and that perhaps as conservatives and liberals sit down to try to put together what's best for the family, the United States of America, that we can work it out and work together, as opposed to this extreme polarization that we see going on in our country. That being said, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. You all have a nice one. Peace.